So, today was gonna be a review for it, but then I saw Geostorm. Yeah, we gotta talk about that. So, Geostorm, it's a new disaster movie, I guess? I mean, that's how they marketed it. It's actually not really a disaster film. Like, if you look at the stereotypes of how you're supposed to write and make a disaster film, this is not it at all. No, this is a mystery movie that uses disasters, natural disasters, in replace of murders or something along that lines. It's much more so a mystery movie than it is a natural disaster. And oh my god, we gotta talk about this. Normally these reviews don't get a whole lot of attention, but I really want to push this review because I have not destroyed... I feel kind of... I don't know if I feel bad about this or good about this. I haven't had to destroy a movie on this channel in a very long time. I came kind of close with Transformers 5 just because that really disappointed me as a Transformers fan. But no, this movie I'm going to completely tear apart. So put your helmets on, kids. Okay, so let's get into this. First off, there's so many places I could start, but I'm going to choose to start with the writing. This has some of the most lazy writing and horrible writing I have ever seen in my life. I was sitting in my seat, cringing, listening to the dialogue. It was to the point where I didn't actually, okay, little story here, I didn't actually pay to see this movie. I didn't choose to see this movie. I was working with the group. I actually work with the football team. I record some of their games. Before the game, the team wanted to go watch a movie. I was like, okay, sure. They said they'd pay for the ticket, so of course I'd go see a movie. But they chose Geostorm. And I felt it would be disrespectful for me to get out of my seat and leave. But I tell you this, if I had paid for my ticket, there's a 90% chance I would have just walked out. The other 10% would have been benefit of the doubt. But, oh my god, the dialogue, it was just horrible. It made no sense. There was stupid conflicts that were absolutely pointless and meaningless. And for a natural disaster film, I'm pretty sure the scriptwriters made up the science for it. I mean, I'm not a science genius in any sense of the word, but with that said, even I knew that's bullshit, that shouldn't happen. Because I guess I'll kind of tell you guys the whole premise of the movie is that, global warming, the world with all the hurricanes that we're having now, you kind of see that just escalating, and by 2019, looks like natural disasters are going to tear apart the world, so all the governments come together and create the satellite net that controls the weather. And how it works makes zero sense. They might as well have said that aliens came and just changed the weather, or freaking a wizard came and I give you satellites! Because it makes no sense. There's no science behind how it works whatsoever. They try, but in all honesty, that makes it worse. And the acting. Before seeing this movie, I was kind of making fun at it. I was driving somewhere, I don't remember where, and I just heard the radio talking about it. And they're like, oh yeah, it stars Gerard Butler. And other people, basically. It was a bunch of names that I didn't know, and I guarantee you no one else listening knew. Gerard Butler was the only big name in this movie, and he was one of the worst actors in it. I'm gonna be honest, and this is bad right here. There was only one actor, or I guess technically an actress, in the movie who I went, okay, she's half decent, and it wasn't Gerard Butler. It was Gerard Butler's character's daughter. Normally, child actresses or actors are horrible. She was better than Gerard Butler. She was better than everyone else in the whole movie combined. She wasn't amazing, but she was the only person who was like, okay, you could be part of SAG. Everyone else, they might as well just hire it off the street. Including Gerard Butler. I swear, it feels like he talked to his agent before this movie was even being made and was like, okay, sign me up for the script that requires the least amount of work on my part. And his agent returned with this one. I swear, it feels like he showed up 5 minutes before each scene was shot, just kind of with his coffee in his hand, put it down. Okay, let me see the script. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yada, 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 yada. Okay, can I get my paycheck now? There was no inflection. There were moments where it sounded like he tried, but it was only him giving his, 60% effort. And going back to the mystery aspect, I don't want to completely destroy this movie. I want to leave a few pieces of rubble left. The mystery aspect was kind of interesting, because it wasn't what I expected at all. When I realized that was the direction they're going, I was like, oh, okay, this could have some potential. There were a couple of moments where I was intrigued. However, every single one of those moments was completely shattered by an overly convoluted plot that served no purpose other than to say it was overly convoluted, and the cringy dialogue and horrible writing that made me just want to rip out my ears. And it wasn't just the acting that was bad, the writing and the acting combined kind of made it so that you didn't empathize at all with any of the characters. There were a couple plots going on in general, one on the satellite up in space, another on Earth, and you just never felt connected to either one, because A, they were bouncing back between them so quick, and B, they never gave you a reason to care. The stakes were, well, human race. Oh, you didn't solve it quick enough? City. You didn't figure that out in time? City. There weren't really any stakes. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, the stakes were the people in the cities or the people on Earth, but you never felt connected to them. I mean, you gotta think of it like this. If the human race in this movie were a bunch of aliens who were just that, aliens, no one would relate to them. The movie was wanting you to relate to them for the sake of them being human. It didn't show you them being human, it was just, yeah, there's people. Now, as a filmmaker, I love looking at movies for their cinematography, and oh my god, this movie's cinematography, I want to say it was horrible, but I can't. It wasn't good, that's not what I'm saying either. It was just not even there. It was bare bones, rudimentary, with nothing else to it. There was no meaning behind it, it was just shots for the sake of having shots. Now, if that means anything to you, then cool. If not, just don't worry. It just means visually, there's nothing there. And I mean, CGI-wise as well, there's nothing astonishing. It was mediocre CGI, mediocre camera work. Everything about the film was mediocre at best, god-awful at worst. I mean, I could talk about this movie for an hour, just going into why it was so bad, what made it so horrible. But the worst part about it is, and I know I'm forgetting things, is that I feel like I've seen this movie before. It's so cookie cutter that you could tell this was the studio just wanting to crank out another money cow. Just trying to throw out a movie for the sake of getting money. There was no meaning behind it. There was no other intent than to make a few bucks. In fact, while I was watching it, I felt like I had already seen this movie. Like I was watching this on TV for the second time or something. Like, I feel like I've seen this movie 1,000 times just for movies like Battleship. Look at the movie Battleship. Now, if you take out the aliens and the sea warfare and replace it with some natural disasters and a satellite that can control weather, you have the same exact movie. Which is why I wanted to make this review and why I pushed aside it and Kingsman and all the other movies that I've planned to review, just so I could get this out to you as soon as possible to say I don't want us to forget about this movie. Not because it was good, I want us to remember it because it is so awful. So that when Hollywood tries to crank out another money cow like this, we can say, hey, you copied Geostorm. You just re-released that movie by tweaking the premise. And you're just making this new movie in an effort to make a few bucks and not spend any time being creative with it, trying to inspire with it, trying to add meaning and emotion to it. And believe me, I'm not saying to watch this movie. Please, if you're watching this, do not see this movie. What I'm saying is to remember that it exists. Remember it as a bad movie. Because that's the thing. Good movies are amazing. It's great to see good movies. As a filmmaker, I love good movies. But I feel like it's equally as important to see bad movies. So you know it as an example of what not to do. Or what a bad movie looks like. So you can compare it when more bad movies come up. And it doesn't just become a standard. I don't know. Maybe I'm going on a rant here. If you want to ask me more questions about my feeling, I'm more than willing to talk about it on a podcast. We have the JFU podcast returning this Saturday. We can make a Let's Talk movie about it. I'd love to continue the conversation, and I want to at least take something away from Geostorm. I want it to be remembered as a bad movie, so that it doesn't just go into oblivion with all the other bad movies like it. Whew, okay, we got through that. Yikes, okay, now, returning back to form, let's go on to my normal rating system. What do I give Geostorm on my rating of 1 to 10 stars? I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10 stars. Because, oh my god, it was absolutely horrible, but it could have been worse. It had some redeeming moments. Granted, a lot of those moments were taken away by the horrible writing and horrible acting, but there were a few moments where, when I was in the theater watching it, I was like, okay, if the whole movie was like that, it would be watchable. But it was just so boring, and when you have 96% just boredom and horrible writing, the other 4% just kind of gets lost. So that's why I have the 2 out of 10 to show, like, hey, it's still there. It's just kind of overshadowed by all the garbage. So, if you had a pretty lady or a handsome gentleman that you wanted to take on a date, would this be a good movie to do that with? Before I give my star rating, no, it's not. I mean, they try to have a romance, but this has got to be one of the worst on-screen romances I've ever seen. There was zero chemistry, and I mean, like, you could tell, no, sweetheart, no. There was no effort that went into that, setting up that romance that happened there. That romance was an afterthought. I'm not giving them credit for a half-assed, not even half-assed, it's like a 10% assed, afterthought there. Which is why I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10 stars on a date night rate. Don't see it in general, but if you're gonna see it, don't see it on a date. Hey, but maybe that person you want to go see it on a date with is like, hey, I want to see a bad movie, so we can make fun of it after, we see it over dinner or something. Then maybe. It's because the date night rates aren't just a set thing. It really depends on the person you're going to go see it with. So maybe you're going with someone who's like, hey, let's go make fun of a bad movie. And you can be like, hey, then let's go see Geostorm. Oh my god, I think I literally just found the only reason to go see Geostorm. Cool. But yeah, that it's a mess. It is a hot mess. It's not even a hot, it's a hot mess when, the laser from the satellite in outer space wants it to be hot, otherwise it's a cold mess. But, don't see this movie. God, don't see this movie. Then again, maybe you should, just so you can say you saw it, going back to my whole discussion about why it's important to see bad movies, so maybe you should, but overall, I don't recommend it. Let's leave it off at that. You do what you want. You be your independent man or woman, whoever you is. Fuck. Oh, this movie made me lose so many brain cells. So have you seen Geostorm? If so, what do you think of it in the comment section down below? Maybe you thought it was okay, or maybe you loved it. I mean, especially if you loved it, I want to hear your thoughts so we can have discussion, share your side of why you liked it. I mean, that's what made the Transformers 5 movie review a lot of fun, so that I could hear why some of you guys who did like it, liked it. So if you actually enjoyed Geostorm, let me know in the comment section down below. If you hated it, hey, let me know that as well. We can have a really fun back and forth there. But otherwise, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with all your friends, and I will see you guys on the next video. Stay classy. Later. Woo! Ugh, but seriously, fuck that movie.